Welcome back to some more C#. The last time we built our fictitious laser program, and this one we're taking it to a whole new level. I have some really exciting things in store for this playlist actually, and now that we've covered most of the basics of the language, I mean, yeah, there are some minor things we skipped over, but we'll go back to them on an as-needed basis. We're truly at a point right now where our options are nearly limitless as far as what we want to learn, where we want to go next from this. Now, keep in mind, this is not my first programming language, and I'm not going to treat it as if it's my first language. And if you're learning another language, I would recommend you do the same. Don't restrict yourself to just reading a book and following, the boring lessons one after the next. Unless you really want to do that, then by all means. But if you want to go out and explore different things with the language, go and do that. Go and do what interests you, provided that you've covered the very basics like we have up until this point in the series. But yeah, we have nearly limitless potential here where we can go for next. And really quickly, let me just say, if this is your first language, I know a lot of you guys are learning programming for the first time. You can still gain a lot of value from taking a similar approach. The only adjustment that I would make is spend a little bit more time on the basics. We kind of went through it pretty quickly because we already had a good understanding of what a lot of these things were. It was just a matter of figuring out the nuance with C# and how it differed from the other languages that I programmed in before. But if it's your first time, it's going to take you a little bit longer. No worries, just spend a little bit more time there before moving forward. Well, the exciting announcement that I had actually, where I want to take this is I want to actually get into some malware development using C#. That's one of the pros of the language. Really easy to interact with, the native Windows API and stuff like that, right? We have access to the entire .NET framework. That's an extremely powerful thing. And there's a lot of really sneaky, nefarious kind of malware development that we can do, we can go down. But of course, that stuff can get pretty complex. So we're going to start with what is going to be pretty simple yet exciting to do. We're going to start with ransomware. We're going to build out our own ransomware. We're going to start simple on it, and we can expand on it, as we go. So hopefully you guys are really excited for that. Now, here's the thing. There definitely is a few more things we need to cover on this language before we're ready to just quite tackle that, right? So that's what we're going to do in this video. We are going to learn how to do some file I/O, right? Some input output, right? How to write to files, how to read files, how to get your current directory, list your, the files and folders in your directory of choice, because all that stuff is going to be extremely important for actually writing the malware, where we're recursively going to each file and encrypting it. So this is some very necessary requisite knowledge. And if you're following along and you're learning the red team tradecraft, you're learning the ways of the shadowy hackers out there, then eventually it's only a matter of time until you're ready to start applying for jobs so you can do this stuff without getting arrested, right? So when you are, about at that point, or even when you're gearing up to be, you're going to definitely want to arm yourself with the top 10 pen testing interview questions that you absolutely need to know. You can check that out down in the description below completely for free. And let me know what you think. Hopefully it will be of value. I definitely think it will. There's no way that it won't be. So let's just get right into this. Let's do some file I/O. So if I go to my trusty resource of W3 Schools, let me just move that front and center here. And there was a section for files, right? So let's just check here. It's very straight to the point. You see, just like any other language, there's a lot of different built-in methods that we can call on to do different stuff. Copy files, create files, delete them, check whether or not a file exists, read all the text, write to the text, replace, append. Let's mostly use write all text and read all text, right? So they actually have a nice example here. Looks like we're going to need to use this import here using system IO. So let's just start there. That'll be the first thing that we do. So we'll grab this import And the very next thing is that we're going to want to have some text that we want to write. And then I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and we'll just modify it as needed. That way I don't have to keep looking back and forth and constantly tabbing between the two. So we can declare a string called write text, and it could be whatever we want it to write, right? Let's say we have written this message to the file, right? Some placeholder text here. So that's what that will be. And, well, I guess we are writing. And then after that, it will have written it. So we'll say file name.text. Let's call this elevatecyber.text, and we're going to pass in the data from the write text variable, which is up here. And then we want to read that file after it's written. So we could just call it here, do the read all text. And if we want to actually display that on the console, then we need to do a console.write line on it. So we have that with read text. And yeah, let's just go ahead and run it like this and see how it works. So let's see, can I make this a little bigger for you guys? I know that's small even for me, to be honest with you. There you go. We are writing this message to the file. So there you go. And we could say whatever we wanted, to be quite honest. Completely up to us. But this is just to demo it. So now we've done something pretty fundamental here. Now, if I wanted to say, like, I want to append to it, we could call this variable append text and file dot append all text maybe. And what do we want to append? Adding this extra line and make sure we're passing in the correct variable here. And yeah, let's see how that works. And it doesn't add the new line. So that is something important to note, that there was no line break on that. So it didn't automatically. So adding this on a new line. Let's try to add a new line. So what if we do something like this? I think this should appear on the new line if we do the new line character. Maybe we can even do like carriage return line feed. I think this should be good. We can test that out too. We're just getting a feel for the language and the nuance and like how everything's working here. Adding this on a new line. What if we were to do some more text, right? So what if we did like a carriage return line feed? Let me just test this out. Same thing, right? Or no? Yep. Either one. So there you go. And yeah, that's pretty much all we'll really need for the ransomware on the file IO side of the house. Now let's look into how we would go about, seeing the current directory. Like, where did this write the file to, right? Where does this elevatecyber.txt file exist? Because we didn't give it any kind of path, right? So whatever our current working directory is, that is where it wrote it to. So let's one sec here. Let's look up, oh, here it is. Let's just look up how we can figure that out. So current working directory C# is what I'll search for. So here you go, directory get current directory method from system.io. which we already have imported. So get current directory. And looks like this is how you write it. So let's give that a shot. So I'll go ahead and clear this out. And I'll say string path is directory dot get current directory. And then we'll just do a console dot write line on path. And let's see where we're located right now. And okay, yeah, this is, wow, we're pretty nested in here, but this is where we're located. And just to confirm that, if I go all the way, drill all the way down there, right now I'm in the selfmade.elevate folder. If I go into the source folder, then repos, Leviathan, bin, debug, net 6.0, we see the elevate cyber file here that we created. So awesome. And let's just play around with if we wanted to list the files, you know? So let's see here. We'll Google that as well. So list files in directory C#. Google thinks I'm using Python. I am not. I am branching out a bit here, doing some C# along with you guys. So get files is a method we can call, looks like. And that is part of system.io namespace. So we should be good there. Let's take a look at an example here. So directory, directory.getFiles. Okay. So yeah, let's give that a try. And we can get the files in the current directory, right? So we already defined the current directory as the path variable. So we should be able to say console.writeline directory.getFiles path. And what am I missing something here? Path is not null. So let's see here. What did I mess up here? So get files target directory. It's not liking how I'm using path here. Let's see, what is target directory? How did they define that? Where else is this located? I'm not sure where it was initialized. I don't know if it was initialized on this thing here or not. But we could try to pass a path as well. So let's see here. What if I say C drive console.writeline get files. All right, so we're having a little trouble from this example, and that'll happen sometimes. So if we look like get file C# tutorial, maybe if we look at a different source, we can, if it's explained a different way, maybe we'll understand it a little better. That's an approach I like to take. If I'm using one piece of documentation, whatever, it's not clicking with me, then I'll switch to something else. So it might be an issue of data type here, right? So we could do this, right? This get files here. Let's try this. So if I define an array on the get files, let's see if we could just read the array. Array 1. Oops. Let's see what this would display for us. Now, this is from the C drive, I believe. Oh, oops. Go ahead and play that. And we could play around with those Microsoft examples as well. Okay, so we want to drill down and actually read the values of the array. So we can say, and I think we could probably do this with the for each. If not, we can Google that as well. But let's just give that a try first. So let's say for each item in array 1. Oops. In array 1. For each item in array 1, we'll do console.writeLine on, and hopefully, we have to declare, say a statically typed language or a strong type language. So we have to say what the data type of item is. It should be string, I believe. Console.writeLine item. So now we'll try running this. And hopefully no errors here. And yeah, here we go. We got it to read out all the files, not the directories, but the files. And I believe if we wanted the directories, we could do directory.get directories. But let's just see. I don't know if there's a way that I can have it use this path variable. Let's try this. That way we can look in our current directory. That'd be pretty cool. And yeah, we can. That is awesome. So we see some DLLs here, some executables, PDB, text files, all that stuff. Really neat. Do we have any directories in here? We don't. You know what? Let's create one. Let's say my test directory. And that is the folder here. And let's do the same thing. Now, I know this is not the most performant code, the way I'm going to do this, but let's just do something kind of quick and dirty here. So we can do string. We'll call this array2. And we'll say get directories. And we'll say, I mean, there's definitely a more efficient way to do this, but I just want to kind of get through this pretty quickly here. And we're just going to list out the files and folders. And we might want to make some kind of statement to say, hey, this is a file, this is a folder. But, you know, we can do this and we see my test directory. Now, maybe we want to make it clear what's a directory and what's a file. So if we want to do that, we should be able to do something like file and then item, and then we can say directory item. So now it'll tell us like, hey, this is a file, this is a directory. So it'll be very clear when we're looking at the output, which is which. So now I see file, directory. This last one's a directory, which makes sense, right? Because how we were looping through things. But yeah, there we go. And obviously, as a next step, we'd want to go into that folder and list the files in there so it's recursive, and then start encrypting all the files iteratively, right? But don't want to make this video too crazy long. I know this is pretty long already, so we'll just stop here. And let me know if there's any questions on this down in the comment section below. Hopefully my methodology was clear, how I went about figuring all this stuff out. And let me just say once again, I have pretty much zero experience using programming in C#, just so everyone knows here. It's all about the methodology, kind of like hacking, right? How it's all about the methodology. The reason we're able to go up against a server we've never encountered before, maybe even some technologies we've never encountered before, and figure out how to exploit it and get remote code execution and become root on the system. that same kind of approach is also how we want to tackle programming as well, right? Going, trying to build something or playing with a language or a framework that we've never really touched before, but having that methodology to figure out what we don't know in order to at least accomplish what we want to accomplish. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And if you want to catch up on the series, I'll have the playlist on the screen for you right now. I'll see you guys right over in those videos. Thanks for watching.